Greetings, viewers, and welcome to today's info sharing session. We'll be covering the linked accounts feature within Sage 200 Evolution. Now, the linked accounts feature is applicable to customers. This feature allows you to have multiple customers linked to one main customer, and that main customer will then be responsible for receiving the statement based on the transactions process for all the other customers linked to the particular group. Let's see exactly how this process unfolds. So firstly, I'm going to go through to my Help and About feature, and you'll see that under our registered modules, we have the linked accounts option available. I'm now going to go through to my customers maintenance, and I'm going to go create my first customer. Right. Adding the customer, and I'm going to specify the details. And what you notice is that on the left-hand side, we have a linked account option, and we're going to set up those details after we've created the sub-account. So I've got my customer, which is in actual fact the head office or the main customer. And I'm now going to go create a second customer, which is now the branch or one of the sub-accounts of the main group. And under my linked accounts, I'm now going to link this sub-account to my main account, which I created previously. So I'm going to go find that main account. There we go. And I've linked the transaction there, or the customer, or the sub-account to the main account. And I'm then going to go create a second branch or second sub-account. And on my linked accounts, I'm now going to link that once again to the main account. Right. So what I in essence have here is I've got a head office, and then I've got two branches. So think of it as perhaps maybe the main account and then the two sub-accounts. So if I go to my main account and I edit the main account, I'm going to go to my linked accounts tab, and as you can see now, it tells me that this is in fact a master account, and it tells me which sub-accounts are now linked to my master account. If I then, for example, go into one of the sub-accounts or the branches, linked accounts, it tells me that it's linked to the main account, being the head office, and these are the other accounts or the sub-accounts which are in fact linked. So you could have a scenario where you've got multiple sub-accounts linked to one main account. If we then move on to our transactions, so under inventory, I'm going to go to transactions invoices. And I'm going to process a transaction for the main account. So it could be a scenario where you as an organization are transacting with the head office as well as a sub-account. So I'm going to process a transaction to the main account or the head office. And process the transaction. If I now print the invoice, you'll see that we've got the details there. The invoice is being sent to the main account. And I'm going to process a second transaction now, being to one of the branches. And what you notice is that once I select the branch account, we have an icon there, which if I move the mouse over the icon, tells me that this is a sub-account and gives me details of the main account. So once again, just by specifying the sub-account, there's an indicator that this is in fact a sub-account of a main account. Right, so just specify a transaction there. process the transaction, and when printing the document, this transaction has now been made out to the sub-account. I'm now going to process a second transaction to the other sub-account, and as you can see, once again, I've got my indicator there telling me that this is a sub-account of the main account. And process the transaction. Right, so there's my invoice, and I've got my details here. At this particular point in time, we processed 3 transactions, one for the head office and one each for the relevant branches. Now let's just go see, if we then go to our inventory reports, let's look at transactions report. And I'm going to look at my transactions report under inventory. If I go to my transactions, I've specified my date range and my accounts, you'll see that I have the option to say print linked account. So I'm going to run the report without using the print linked account filter. And if I preview the report, you'll see we've got 3 transactions there, and the accounts also are specified as being the main account. If I then rerun the report, but I use the print linked account filter option and preview, you'll see that I've now got a breakdown of the relevant companies, in this case, the first transaction being for the main account, and then a breakdown per branch of the transaction and which particular account it was invoiced to. So by using the print linked account, I can specify or can view exactly which sub-account the transaction was processed for. If we then move over to our customers, and we're going to go look at the customer statements. Now, remember is that the basis of linked accounts is that you've got multiple transactions to linked customers. However, one customer within or the main account is going to be receiving that statement. So under my accounts receivable, I'm going to go to my reports, and I'm going to go through to statements. If I go to my report filters, you'll notice is that I don't have the ability, or the branches or the sub-accounts aren't available for selection on the drop-down, simply because the statement is going to be sent to the main account. So I'm going to specify the main account, and under my options, I've got a filter for grouped linked account transactions. So I'm going to just deselect that for the time being, preview the statement, and I've got my details there with the statement, together with the breakdown, all the invoices for that particular period. Now, I'm going to close this and rerun the report, but this time I'm going to use the group linked account transactions filter option. Preview, and in this instance, I've now got a breakdown of all the transactions grouped by linked accounts. So firstly, we have our main account transaction. We then have the second transaction, which was for the branch, and the next transaction for the second branch. So as you can see, very useful when printing statements and sending them to customers or the head office in this particular instance. They've got a very useful breakdown of exactly the transactions which were done per branch and the total of the transactions per particular branch. So in order to implement that function, simply make use of the group linked account transactions filter. We then have another option where when processing customer batches, so under customers, I'm going to go to transactions. And when processing customer batch, open up a new batch, and you'll see that I've got the option to include linked accounts. I'm going to now just not select that option, and you'll see that under my account code, I don't have the branch available for selection if I deselect that option. So in order for me to process a journal batch to a linked account, I'm simply going to go to my view, batch properties, select the include linked accounts option, and I can then go to my accounts code. And as you can see now, I have got those branches available for selection. And there's our second branch. So just be aware that if you are intending to process a customer batch to a linked account, make sure that that option has been selected. So as you can see, the linked account option allows you to create a group of customers linked together to one main account, process transactions for the linked account and the main account. And then subsequently, when printing statements, the statement is being sent to the main account. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed my presentation. It's over and out for me, and goodbye.